But I've noticed in the last 5 years, when we first started, we had about 6 CSA families, and now we have close to 50. And we spend most of our time at the farm, and I don't get to do as much of the things that I really do love doing, like, going rafting and backpacking and playing music and, having a life beyond vegetables. So we're trying to make some changes, but keep those two things in balance. And I think my advice to any grower is to take the time to sit down and think through these issues so that we don't get burnt out, because local food is so important for our communities.
So, oops, my slide didn't go forward. What have you done specifically related to this subject?
We have gone through the process of putting together a holistic goal, which I have to say is it's hard because I think it's a little bit vague sometimes, and I'm pretty goal-oriented. So trying to put together a big picture goal for our farm. And then I really found that the Building a Sustainable Business Model book that we had as a class reading material was really very beneficial for me to go through all those worksheets step by step and really take the time to write stuff down, because otherwise I just wouldn't. It's in my head or it's in some scrap of paper somewhere. And so those types of worksheets are really helpful for me because I'm very hands-on. I can read it, I can hear it, but I really have to do it in order to understand and put it into practice. And I've also sat down with my business partner, Jeremy, and I know we have similar values and expectations for the farm, but we've never really talked about it. It's a lot of assumptions. And so we've taken the time to really craft of what we want to do in this next step. Do we take that plunge and buy farmland together? And if so, are we willing to take on that risk and that debt, which really, really scares me? And so, not to mention a commitment. So, but I found that I really love the community element to farming, whereas Jeremy, he's really more practical. He likes the hard work and the planning, the self-sufficiency, and I'm kind of like the social, to communicate with our CSA members and blah, blah, blah. So we've done a lot of thinking and taking the time really to sketch that out on paper.
That's great. And it's very typical that you would have and that may make your farm stronger, that you have different strengths related to the farm. That's interesting.
I think so. And I know when we first started, we had a really, I don't know, a thrown together sort of business plan, which, it was great to have a kind of crappy little business plan. But now we're really established in our community and we're growing by leaps and bounds. And so taking the time to finish, or I guess actually revise that business plan into something that we can really work with is really beneficial for us, because if we are going to move the farm to a new location or even purchase property, we can use that business plan to generate some funding for us, either through loans or through investment. Several of our CSA members have come forward and want to assist with purchasing property, but they want to see a business plan.
I found it really interesting that when I asked you, what are your next steps and future plans, and you had very specific timelines for things, when you were going to finish your business plan and some of the other things you were going to do for the other topics that we're going to discuss here. Then that's great. That's how you're going to make it get done, is by having those time frames.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into the next topic. Let's talk about record keeping, and I found your response to that great. So please tell people how you feel about record keeping.
I hate record keeping. But I also recognize that, I hope we the farm is a sole proprietorship, and it's in my name, and so I ultimately hold the risk of this farm enterprise. And I also want to be a good business owner, and we want to know how our farm is doing and what our yields are and all that business. So it's been kind of a long journey for me to learn how to keep good records, but it really pays off in the end. And we're a small farm. You know, you wouldn't think that we have a lot of records to keep on a little less than an acre, but this year we hope to grow maybe close to $17,000 off of our acre, and we really need to keep track of that money and make sure that we're doing okay, and we aren't exceeding our expenses. And so we have to write everything down. And believe it or not, I don't have a ledger. I keep scraps of paper with little notes written on them, and I'm not going to do that any longer. I'm taking some people's advice, and I've actually gotten a ledger and a receipt book, and I really loved Diane's advice about just keeping her receipts in a Schedule F sort of format. I also think that Farm Business Records by Richard Parkner was extremely helpful, and we just use Excel. QuickBooks and all the programs out there just mind boggle me, and I don't, at this point in my life, want to take the time to learn how to run that software or do those programs. I will someday, I'm sure, but for now, Excel suits me just fine. I know how to work it, and it's really easy for us to fill out.
Jessica, I want to go back to this slide because you mentioned this on all three of your topics.
Yeah, I think I can't stress enough how important it is for us for networking with other farmers. When we first started farming, other farmers in the area really helped us out and taught us a lot. And now in our 5th year, I couldn't do it without networking with other farmers. Not only is it fun, and you get to see what other people are doing, but everybody has a different strategy, a different experience to share, and I think that is so valuable as farmers as we move forward with making our farms sustainable. Is always being willing to adapt and change. And if you're resource sort of deficient like we are in southeast Idaho, I feel sometimes we're sort of in a vacuum down here. Just reaching out to other growers in other counties can be really helpful, and that connection can be very important.
Yeah, definitely. Very important. And you actually had some next steps and future plans related to record keeping?
Yes, I suppose so. Diane had recommended maybe trading some vegetables for some accounting assistance, since I am not a numbers person. And we work with a really nice accountant in town who is always checking up on us, so I think he would be up for a trade, just to have some more perspective on the cash flow, profit and loss, and things like that. So I'm going to be contacting him this spring just for some help, so I can start understanding the financial ends of things a little bit better. And then my goal really is by 2013, when hopefully we'll have a new farm location, is to be able to have good record-keeping mechanisms in place so that we can start off on a fresh note.
Awesome. Great. So now about selling to new buyers and expanding into new markets. What do you got going there?
Well, we're really excited. We've been contacted by the charter school here in town, and they want us to farm their half-acre of land behind the school. And so that's one new market that's emerging, and it really, I love it because it has that education piece that is so important to me, especially with kids. And it opens a whole new world of worms, but I think it's something that we can manage. The other thing, you know, we know that diversity is crucial. Currently, we just have our CSA, and occasionally we'll sell through the co-op or to a restaurant here and there, but we need to diversify our market. So we are going to start doing weekly produce baskets through the Pocatello Co-op, which sounds kind of daunting, but they're actually going to manage all the customer contacts and ordering and letting us know what they want. So all we have to do is show up with the veggies, which is really easy.